Hello. All right, so we are finishing up chapter 1 today. So chapter 1, gross income for business math. Sorry, I forgot to say business math. So lesson 1.7, graduated commission. So graduated means, when they use that, means we're going to do it in steps, like a graduated cylinder, like kind of that same idea. You may have heard that term maybe in science, hopefully at some point. But that's all graduated means, is that it's going to be kind of in steps. So again, I say this in every video, make sure you're reading the textbook, you're looking at the examples there, checking out the formulas that they're using, because this gives us a little summary and it gives us a formula, but it's not always everything that we need. So, and I'll go over that too on this page. There's actually sometimes, you'll need the tax tables in the back of the book or something like that, especially when we start moving to the next section or the next chapter here, because we start talking about some taxes. So anyway, just make sure you're reading the textbook there. All right, so your commission rate may increase as your sales increase. A graduated commission offers a different rate of commission for each of the several levels of sales. So your total graduated commission is the sum of all commissions for all levels. So that's not the greatest formula. It doesn't really tell you what to do. So that's why we're going to go take a look at a couple of these. So they give us this graduated rate or table. So you get a commission rate of 4% for your first 10,000 in sales. And then your next 20,000 in sales, you get 5%. And then anything over 30,000, you get 6%. So remember, it's just about the steps here. So graduated just literally has to do with you're stepping it out each time. So Judy Wilson has had sales of 32,400. So we're going to take this, and what I like to do with it is kind of break it down. So I go 10,000 plus 20,000, and I'm breaking it down into pieces. So here's my first bit, here's my second bit, and then what's left over. So 10 plus 20, that's 30,000 right there. So anything over 30,000, I get 6% on. So she only has 2,400 over the 30,000. So I literally just broke it into the pieces. So you can see, here's my first step, the 10,000. Here's my next 20. That's the second step. And then the third step is only this 2,400 that's left over. So I'm going to multiply this by 4%. I'm going to multiply this by 5%. And I'm going to multiply this by 6%. So these are my steps. So each piece, and if you notice, I have the addition in here, because if I add all these together, I'm going to get the 32,400 that I started with. When I multiply these, I'm going to kind of step it down here, and I get 400 for this first piece. And then, so 10,000 times 4% is 400. And then 20,000 times 5%, I get, let me see, that was 1,000. Plus 2,400 or 2,400 times 6% is $144. So I'm going to add these together, and that's what this means. The sum of commissions for all levels. So here's my 3 levels. Sum means add them together, right? So that's what that means, that formula. The sum of all levels. You calculate each level, and then you add them together. So when I add these together, she gets a commission of $1,544 for her sales of $32,400. So the more she sells, the more she makes, because it has to do with that commission. She's not making any money unless she's selling something. So she's got to be, whatever it is, usually you do this in some kind of sales job, obviously, but like selling houses, or even sometimes in like retail stores. I don't think they do that very often anymore, but it used to be more, how the more you can sell, the more you would make on it. There's actually a company that I worked for, Cutco. They used to do that. So the more I would sell with the knives and the knife sets, the more I would make. It also depended on who I was selling to. There was more to it than that. So just showing a husband, but not a husband and a wife, I wouldn't make as much, because it was less likely that the husband would buy without the wife there. So all these weird little rules for these commissions. Just kind of a fun tidbit of my history there. So the next one, actually the next 3 here, exactly the same. Just break it down into the 3 categories. You have your first 10,000, your next 20,000, and then anything over 30,000. So if you don't get over 30,000, so this next one here, we have 10,000, and then after that 10,000, we only have 18,000, right? Because 10 plus 18, that would get us the 28. So we're not going to have the full 20,000 on the next step. Step 3, we're definitely going to have all, or not step 3, sorry, question 3. We're definitely going to have all 3. And then question number 4, that's definitely a pretty big number. We're going to have 3 decent pieces on that one. All right, so let's take a look at the word problem. For these ones, I'm not really going to work out any of these word problems. We're just going to take a look at it real quick. It's giving you the exact same information it gave you in the last ones. They're just giving it to you in a word problem. That's it. They're giving you a little bit more to it. So instead of just a name and sales, now they're going to give you a story to it. So Audrey Sanders sells closet organization systems. She is paid a commission of 5.14% for her first 15,000 in sales, 10% on all sales over the 1,500. What is her commission in a week where she sells $7,500 worth of closet systems? So we're not using this one anymore. Remember, this told us only 1 through 4. So make sure you're paying attention to the directions there. It tells you where you're going to be using this. So now they're giving us new percentages based on the step or the graduation from this one to this one to this one. So you're just going to do that exact same thing. You have her first 1,500 plus anything over that. So if she sold $7,500, well, that means that she has 6,000 over the 1,500, right? So this first part, we're going to multiply by the 1.5%, sorry, 1.14%, not 0.5. And then anything over the 1,500, we're going to multiply by 10%. So she definitely makes a much better rate if she can get over that 1,500, because 10% is a pretty decent amount. So you'd multiply. I'm just going to draw a line here. You'd multiply, get a number, multiply, get a number here, and you're going to add those together. That's going to be your total commission, what she makes. Right, like I said, I wasn't going to really work those out for you because it's quite literally the same idea as this one. You're just using different percentages. So make sure you're reading through these because each one is pretty similar to the last. The only difference on the bottom one here, I'm going to X out of that. The only difference on the bottom here is Cho Sasaki demonstrates microwave ovens at the National Home Show. She's paid $7 for each of the first 7 demonstrations and $11 for anything over 7 demonstrations. So what is her commission if she makes 12 demonstrations in a day? So in this case, we're not doing percentages, and that's actually something that it did say, I believe. It did say it up here, right? Oh, nope, that was one of the other sections. It was talking about either a flat rate or a percentage. So that was one of the previous sections, but it did come up. It can either be a flat rate or it can be a percentage. So in this case, she's getting more of a flat rate fee. So if she did 12 demonstrations and the first 7, she gets a certain amount. Anything over that, she gets more. So, 12 plus 5 more, that gets us 7 plus 5 more, that gets us our 12, right? So we just know the first 7, she gets $7 each. So we're going to multiply. And anything over that, so these 5, she gets $11 for those. So we're going to multiply. Same thing. We're just not doing it by percentage. We're doing it by a dollar amount. So we're going to multiply. We'll have a number. Multiply. We'll have our second graduation, our second level, and then add them together. And that'll give us her total commissions there. All right, let's look at the second page here because we do have 2 pages. So this one at the top here, let me get up there. Boop. So we have 3 problems on the second page. These are pretty close to what we were just doing. This first one is actually identical. You just have 3 graduations for your different levels of sales, and you go through and you multiply and then add the levels together. This one is definitely a little bit more complicated because it's actually combining everything we've learned, or quite a bit of what we've learned from the semester. So you're paid a commission of $5 per hour. You're paid a commission, sorry, you are paid a commission plus, this says plus, so we get a commission and we get an hourly rate of $5. We also have time and a half for anything over 8 hours. So we're going section 1, straight time pay with the $5.40 per hour, section 2 with the overtime pay, and then commissions, that's, the last 2 sections here, we've been talking about commissions. So our commission consists of 4% for the first 3,000 and then 5% for everything over. So they're doing the graduated commissions, which we learned in this section. Your gross pay for the week in which you worked. So find your gross pay for the week in which you worked 9 hours Monday, 8 hours Tuesday, 11 hours on Wednesday, 9 hours on Thursday, and 10 hours, on Friday, and then another 8 hours on Saturday. Your total sales for the week were $4,115. So we need to find our gross pay. So how much do we make for all of this? So remember, your total sales for the week, that's not what you make, that you sold that for the company. So pay attention to the wording there. So I'm going to come over here and I'm going to go Monday. So on Monday, I need to look how many hours did I work on Monday. So it was 9 hours, right? Remember, I get a certain amount for my first 8 hours. Anything over that, I get time and a half. So I'm going to go time and a half. I'm going to put that over here because that's what I was doing on these other ones. And I multiply that by my regular rate here. So my time and a half rate, let's see, did I actually multiply that out on here? I didn't. Let's see, what would that be? Time and a half, 5.1, 540 times 1.5. Sorry, being a little lazy using the calculator there just to make that a little bit faster. That did not work out correctly. I forgot to hit the percentage button. Don't forget to change that into because this is a percent. It's not 1 point. Nope, I'm fibbing to you. That is not a percent. I'm just losing my mind here. It is 1.5 times 5.4. All right. Losing my mind a little bit there on that calculation. Sorry. So not a percentage. It means time and a half. So the one is all of your time, the 5.4, and then you also get another half of that added. That's what time and a half means. So anything over 8 hours, you get $8.10 instead of the $5.40. So this I'm going to multiply by 540. This I'm going to multiply by 810. Tuesday. So Tuesday was 8 hours. So that's just regular pay. There's nothing over. So I'm going to have quite a few amounts here, right? Wednesday. So on Wednesday it was 11 hours. So that's 8 and then 3 more, right? So 3 more. So this is times 540 times 810 equals. Thursday, we worked, let's see, 9 hours. So that's 8 and 1 more. So times 540. Sorry, that's getting a little ugly there. Getting a little running out of room. 10. And then Friday. And then we also have Saturday. So probably would have been better to work this out down here. But I, for whatever reason, was storing it up here. I wrote a little bit smaller in my paper, so it fit there kind of nicely. So Friday was 10 hours, and then Saturday was 8 hours. So we have times 540 again. This 2 is times 810. 2 more equals here, and then 8. So we just worked 8 hours there, and there's apparently no overtime on Saturdays because they haven't told us that. Sometimes they will, of course, tell you that. Saturday you get overtime. Or time and a half, and then Sunday you get double time. That's come up in some of our other equations here. So all of these calculations will just give us what we're paid on an hourly basis. So this is part of our payment, right? Once we get all of these amounts here, and I'm going to let you guys multiply this out, you're going to add them together and you're going to get the first piece of your answer. You also get a commission. So don't forget about the commission. You definitely want all the money that you're entitled to there, right? So we get, where did it say here? So you get 4% on the first 3,000, right? And so I'm just going to write this up here. So we get 4% on the first 3,000. So that's times 4% plus we sold more than 3,000. So we get 5% on anything over 3,000. So that's $1,115 that I get 5% on. So we want to make sure we multiply, add them together, and we get another total here. To get your total sales, you simply add those two amounts together. So a little bit of work here, especially because we have to take into account all of these different hours that we're doing, But this is one of those things that as you guys start working, we should be paying attention to this. Keep track of your hours. How much do you expect to be paid? That's definitely important if you're not receiving the same amount all the time. So if you get a salary, it's the exact same amount dropped in your account, or you get a check, however you get your payment every time. You don't have to pay quite as much attention to that, only because you're going to get the same amount every time. But if you're getting hourly, that's definitely something you want to be paying attention to, just to make sure, you're getting what you're supposed to be getting. And especially if it's commissions, you want to make sure you're getting all the commission that you're entitled to. So this one's definitely a very real world situation for many people. All right. So algebra, again, the algebra ones sometimes are more involved, which is just my fun way of saying there's more steps to them. This one is not too terribly bad, but algebra does let you know you're going to have to apply what we've learned. So we're going to have to, we're going to be given information. We're going to have to figure out how to take that next step. How do I find what they're asking me to find? So there is more thought that goes into these algebras. You might have to slow down for a second, think about it, write down the equations and then figure out how to use them to keep moving forward. So Fatima Sharud sells children's clothes for the Grasshopper Shop. She's paid weekly on a straight commission of 4% on sales of $5,000 or less, and 5% on sales in excess of $5,000. So 5% on anything over $5,000. 1 week, Fatima has a gross pay of $494.50. What are her total sales for the week? So we need to think about how to get here, because they're not giving it to us in the same order that they've given it to us in before. So we have to do some algebra, literally, to figure out the missing piece here. We don't know what her total sales were for the week. So that's what we're being asked to find. So as soon as you know what you're being asked to find, give it a variable. So S can be her total sales for the week. So we're going to use S, and I do my little things here, so it's an S and not a 5. I've been told my 5s and my S's look very similar. So when I use them in equations, I always put the little lines on them. So we know now we can use this S in the place of total sales. So let's go through, and we're going to write an equation that has to do with these ones. So with this graduated piece, remember we have a 4% piece and we have a 5% piece. We're just working on the graduated commission part here. So 4%, she gets 4% on anything 5,000 or less. And if they're giving us both pieces here, we're making this assumption that she's over 5,000. Okay. So we have 5,000 here that we're going to get 4% on. And anything over 5,000, she's going to get 5% on. So it's whatever she sells minus the 5,000. So, and I'm writing it like that on purpose because whatever she sold, the total amount, we need to subtract 5,000 from that. That's what we get 5% on. And then we would multiply, just like we do up here. We would multiply, because these two added together will give her total sales, right? So we multiply, and we'll have a number. We multiply here, and instead of just a number, we're going to have a binomial, because we have a binomial times per 5%. Well, we have to multiply everything by 5% here. And then equals her total commission for the week. So instead of continuing to write it this way, I'm going to rewrite it over here so that you can see it kind of in an equation. So we have 5,000 times 4% plus S minus 5,000 times 4%. And that's going to equal what she's being paid here, which is her 594.50, because they told us that, right? We know what her payment is. We don't want another variable in the end there, because then we won't be able to figure it out. So we don't want like an X or something on the end for her total payment. We need to know that amount. So with this next step, what they have you do is they have you start multiplying. So if you do 5,000 times 4%, she got $200 on this first 5,000. Plus, we need to distribute this 5% here, right? Just like we would in any other problem. If you have a number outside the parentheses, you have to distribute it. So we have 5% of S, because we just multiply, I just throw them together here, minus 5,000 times 5% is, let's see, what do we get there? 250. Sorry, my lazy worksheet here. I already did it on another worksheet, so I don't have to sit there and do calculator work during the video. And we're going to bring down the 594.50. All right, so we need to combine some like terms here. So 200 minus 250. So I'm going to write the 5% S. And you can also write, remember, 5% is actually 0.05. So if you don't like putting the percent sign in here, for whatever reason, I just like throwing it on the problem. But you don't have to put the percentages in. You can convert it to a decimal. So if that makes it a little easier for you to think about it that way. So 200 minus 250, we get negative 50 equals 594.50. So now we're getting down to kind of a more normal looking equation here. And we're trying to solve for this S, okay? So in order to solve for S, we first have to start, well, we have to get it by itself. So we have to start moving things from one side of the equation to the other. First thing you want to do is what's being added or subtracted, not multiplied. What's being added or subtracted on the same side as the variable. So 50 is being subtracted on this side. And here's the variable. So I'm going to add 50 to both sides here. And I get 5% of S equals, these cancel. Negative 50 plus 50, those are opposites, they cancel. And in this case, we end up with 644.50, because I just added 50 to the 594.50. So the very last step here, we just have to divide by 5% to get S all by itself. Divide by 5%. And I need to move up a little bit here. Boop. All right. So, and I like to draw my lines, just kind of showing my stages here a little bit. So 5% divided by 5% cancels. We get S equals, well, we just simply have to do that last calculation there, and that'll tell us. If we divide 644.50 by the 5%, remember, either type it into your calculator like this, 0.05, or a lot of the calculators, and I think I can even pull up my calculator here so that you can see it. A lot of calculators have this percent sign on it. So I can go 5%, and it'll move the decimal for me. That's fine. But if you just type in 5 or 644 divided by 5, you're not going to get the right answer. It needs to be this decimal. So just keep that in mind. But that'll tell you what her total sales were for the week. So I'm going to let you guys finish that last calculation there. Super easy one there. And I hope that helped. I know sometimes the algebra ones are a little bit, like I say, more involved, but it's really just about taking what we know and applying it, finding a missing piece there. All right, well, again, hope that helped, and I will see you in chapter 2.